Good afternoon, and thank you for joining the City of San Jose's webinar series today. My name is Sandra Freitas, and I will be facilitating this afternoon's webinar on non-traditional small business funding options in response to COVID-19. Today's webinar is being recorded, and it will be posted on our website for public viewing. I would like to take this opportunity to thank our business owner space partners. U.S. Small Business Administration, Downtown Willow Glen Business District, Latino Business Council of Silicon Valley, Small Business Majority, Local Initiative Support Corporation, LISC, Silicon Valley Black Chamber of Commerce, Silicon Valley Organization, Small Business Development Center, Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Silicon Valley, Winchester Business Association, San Jose Public Library Works, Opportunity Fund, SCORE Silicon Valley, eBay, and Start Small, Think Big. Today's agenda will focus on housekeeping items. We'll introduce today's guest speaker spotlights and presentations. We will also address questions and answers. And we will conclude the webinar session with a list of resources and information and details for next week's webinar. Housekeeping items. All participants will be placed on mute for the entirety of the presentation and will be invited to speak, ask questions during the Q&A session, which will immediately follow the presentations. Please use the Q&A function located at the bottom of your screen to scribe question or questions that pertain to today's presentation topic. If you have any questions pertaining to other COVID-19 topics, please email or visit our website for resources at www.sjeconomy.com/COVID-19 business info. Vietnamese and Spanish reading staff are reading the emails or chat, so feel free to ask questions to those in those languages if it is more comfortable for you. The speaker will answer selected questions in English, after which the answer will be repeated in the language in which it was asked. In the event you need to leave during the webinar while it is in session, please email your question and someone from our staff will get back to you. Our email address is listed here and at the end of this presentation. Today's presenters will address questions that pertain to their presentations. I would now like to invite our first speaker, Vic Farlie, Senior Economic Analyst with the Office of Economic Development.
Hello and good afternoon, and thank you for joining us at today's webinar to look at non-traditional financing models for small business. My role as a Senior Economic Analyst here in the City of San Jose's Office of Economic Development is to look at all the different financing and capital options available to business and to make sure that as many businesses as possible within the city know what opportunities are in front of them so they can make really good decisions about the future of their business and how they want to develop it. So in the midst of COVID-19, many small businesses face difficult and challenging times. And at the heart of this is the need to ensure that they have access to finance. And so the city has been working closely with many of the financial institutions, to broaden access to the types of loans and financial packages that are needed. It's very important for the city that we know that particularly small businesses, self-employed, sole proprietors, and many of the organizations that we work with are able to make that offer available. So that's why widening access to finance leaders is a very important part of my role. The second thing the city is trying to address in its relationship to business is how do we look at the immediate needs, particularly issues of cash flow and liquidity, as well as long-term needs such as working capital, investment, and the opportunities to grow a business either through acquiring a property or an asset or employing more staff and growing that way. So the city wants to ensure that what we do is enabling us to look at how business have a long-term future here in the city. And being able to address that is very important. And that's why we're very pleased to have the guest speakers we have today that begin to address both immediate and long-term needs. The other issue for the city that's very important is how we develop our relationship with many of the banks and lenders and organizations such as the Opportunity Fund and LISC, who you'll hear about in a moment, and how we collaborate for the benefit of everyone. And that will, what you will begin to see in the next few weeks and months is the evolution of these partnerships and relationships so that the offer to you in small business is better than you've had in the past, because you need to see that where the opportunity lies for you to apply for and be successful in the types of funding that you need. Lastly, but very importantly, the city is developing its information role, regularly communicating emails now to over 38,000 businesses in the city, building our relationship through that email communication, but also acknowledging not every business has an online presence and needs information from many different sources. Many business owners look for referrals. Who do you know? Do you work with a tax preparer or a CPA or a good family friend? So ensuring that the city is able to provide information, not just in English, but in other languages, particularly Spanish, Vietnamese, and Chinese, becomes very important, not just for the business owner, but also for the people that they refer to and the people that they need to work with to make sure their business functions well. So here we are as a city trying to ensure that in these difficult times of COVID-19, we're broadening the access for business to secure finance. We're looking at the immediate issues of liquidity and cash flow. We're trying to not forget the long-term needs, and we recognize the importance of collaboration and partnership. And that's how we put together the kind of issues and information that we're arrived at today. And I hope you find the webinar useful, and I would be very happy to answer any questions in relation to the city, SBA funding, traditional bank lending, or indeed these non-traditional means of accessing finance. Thank you very much. Back to you, Sandra.
Thank you, Vic. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce our guest speakers. We will begin with Myra Contreras, Community Development Officer for Opportunity Fund, who will then be followed by Laurel Bretson, Program Officer with the Local Initiative Support Corporation, LISC. I would like to invite Myra to share her presentation. Thank you.
Okay, making sure everyone can hear me. My name is Maria Contreras, and I'm a Community Development Officer at Opportunity Fund. Opportunity Fund is a nonprofit microlender. We have been around for over 25 years. We are based out of San Jose. Our main office is based out of San Jose, right downtown by San Pedro Square. We also have offices in San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Fresno. We service all of California. Along with our offices, we have loan consultants that help our clients one-on-one. And basically, our loan consultants meet the clients where they're at. So either they meet at the office or at the business location, a coffee shop, whatever is convenient for our small business owners. We strictly do small business loans. We are direct lender. We are a CDFI. For those of you who are not familiar with that term, we are a community development financial institution. So there are quite a few CDFIs here in the Bay Area that we partner up with, and the City of San Jose also works closely with. So as a group, we work and help our clients. If we can't help you, we'll refer you out to someone who can. But we have, like I said, we've been around for 25 years. Our loans range from $2,600 up to $250,000. Right now, with the situation of COVID-19, we are only lending up to $50,000 at this time, but we are currently accepting applications for clients or small business owners that would like to apply for existing loan products. So basically, the clients that we help, there are smaller loan amount. Like I said, our average loan size or our loans range from $2,600 up to $250,000. But our average loan size is about $15,000, which just shows that a lot of our small business owners don't need a large loan to help their business grow. So we'll focus on the smaller loans for sure. And the clients that we do help are clients that for one reason or another, do not qualify through a traditional bank. So whether it is loan amount, maybe they just need $3,000 for merchandise, inventory, or limited documentation. So we don't require as many documents as a bank would. For example, we just require one-year tax returns. Another reason a client would go to us is because their credit may not be that great. We're not a FICO-based lender, even though we do have a credit cutoff score, which I'll share, but our interest rates are not based off the credit score, it's based off the loan amount. And we can be a little bit more flexible with bankruptcies, with small collection accounts, medical collection accounts, utility collection accounts, and overall credit. We also help clients that do not have Social Security numbers. So clients that are using an ITIN, we can help them with a small business loan as well. Okay, so these are some of the challenges our clients are facing. We're noticing that some less responsible lenders are not considerate of the client's cash flow. We know that there's a lot of predatory lenders out there, especially now that our small business owners are struggling for capital, that are targeting our business owners and qualifying them fast and easy for these type of predatory loans. Also, you want to make sure that you're accessing the correct loan. We do take a look at your financials, and we do lend the money responsibly. So we do have in-house underwriters and a team that will process your application. Also, like I said, I mentioned the loan amount. So banks are usually prefer lower risk and higher loan amounts, at least, or about $250,000. So there is a gap for small business owners who don't need that much of a loan. We're looking at our smaller loan range, like I said, $2,600 up to $250,000. Okay. So CDFIs or the micro lenders, we fill in the gap for our small business owners that don't qualify for bank loans or SBA loans. So with that being said, we noticed that there is a rise of merchant cash advance lenders, high rate lenders that are also trying to fill in that gap. So we always bring this up just to make our small business aware that, you know, these loans are out there and they target our small business clients pretty aggressively. They provide easy, fast qualification pre-approvals within minutes. And then of course they provide the loan within a day, within hours or a day. So we've done some research on this. You can go on our website, opportunityfund.org, if you would like to see some of the research that we've done on high interest rate lenders. I myself have refinanced some loans for clients that are paying over 200% APR. So we're trying to do our best to make our small business aware of this and to help our small business owners refinance if they are in a high rate loan. Comparing an alternative lending or a high rate lender to opportunity fund, if you look, our rates range on the lower end. We are a CDFI or micro lender, so our rates will be slightly higher than a bank. But of course, we'll look at your credit, we'll look at your situation, and I mean, we always advise for you to check with your banker first to see if you qualify through them. If you don't, then of course we'll be the alternative lender to help you with that loan, in the hopes that eventually, once you establish some business credit or reestablish personal credit with us, that you can go back to your bank and apply for that loan and get that lower interest rate. As far as our programs go, we have our working capital loan that ranges from $2,600 up to $250,000. And we also have a mobile food truck program. So we're one of the largest mobile food truck lenders in California. A lot of the food truck trailers and trucks that you see around the city are our clients. So we also have a program for that. On top of along with the mobile food truck program, we also have a trucking program. So our trucking program will service all the big rig drivers, 18-wheeler trucks that you see up and down the highway. That's another channel that we have. Like I mentioned, we're a term loan. So you'll have fixed payments. Let me go back to that. I'm sorry, got kicked out here. And applying, you can apply through, I'll give you our website. You can go online and submit an inquiry. If you would like for someone to call you back, reach out. I'll also share my email address. You can contact me directly as well. But we are also listed on the San Jose City's COVID-19 response team. We're also part of the business owner space partners. So if you go on their website, they have list of CDFIs and other lenders that they work with, that we partnered up with. So you can also get a hold of us there. I'll move into our requirements. The business has to be located in California or Nevada. We also service Nevada. Like I mentioned, we're not a FICO-based lender, so minimum credit score is 580. No current delinquencies, open tax liens, or open bankruptcies. We will work with you. We'll look at your credit. I mean, if you have an explanation, with most micro lenders, we will ask for an explanation to see how we can work with you. With Opportunity Fund, we don't do startups as far as our working capital loans. We want to see at least 1 year in operations and generating revenue. So you'd have to generate revenue for at least a year to apply. And of course, a healthy cash flow that will support the loan amounts. We don't want to burden you with a loan payment. So we want to be, we are responsible, a responsible lender on that term. Okay, so Opportunity Fund or loans are easy to get as far as a minimum documentation. No credit is okay. If you don't have a credit score, we'll work with you. If you have an I-10 number, we'll also work with you. We're fast. Our turnaround time is 5 to 7 business days, depending on the loan amount. And oops, I'm getting kicked out here. Sorry about all the alerts. and it's affordable. I will pull up my information here in case you have any questions. Okay. And will we be answering questions now? We can go over those.
Thank you very much, Myra. We're going to reserve questions until the Q&A session, and we've instructed participants on this webinar to record their questions via the Q&A functionality located at the bottom of their screen. I would like to take this opportunity to invite Laurel Engbreston.
Thanks, Sandra. Good job with my last name. It's really hard. It says I can't share my screen. Are you going to share the deck or?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's see, make sure it's in view mode. The WebEx is in the way. There we go. Hi, everybody. My name is Laurel. I'm a program officer with the Bay Area office for LISC, which is short for Local Initiative Support Corporation. We are also a community development financial institution, or CDFI, like Opportunity Fund, although we have a different focus area and kind of operate in a different way. Today I'm going to talk about our small business relief grant program that we have gotten up and running really quickly. But first, a little bit more about LISC. We're a large national CDFI. Our mission is, together with residents and partners, we forge resilient and inclusive inclusive communities of opportunity across America, great places to live, work, visit, do business, and raise families, which is pretty general. What does that mean? In general, we kind of aggregate a bunch of different financial resources at the national level. So public funding, private funding, philanthropy, corporate philanthropy, and then we partner with local leadership, local community-based organizations, and local governments to bring those resources, whether they're grants, loans, equity investments, or technical assistance to support community development efforts at the local level. The kind of how that works with this program, well, I guess this is a slide that just shows a little bit of the scale of what we do. We're most known for our affordable housing investments, but we do a lot of economic development and small business related grant making, and some lending as well. Although we tend to rely more on our partners like Opportunity Fund to provide the kind of micro loans that Myra was talking about before. We have been working really hard and really rapidly to get some grant dollars out to small businesses in our local markets, including the Bay Area. It started with a $2.5 million grant that Verizon gave us nationally. Since then, Verizon has upped their investment to $7.5 million. Sam's Club has added $1 million, and we have several million more from other funders that we'll be announcing soon. These are $10,000 grants that are designed to support small businesses that have had revenue drops based on COVID-19 shelter-in-place related economic challenges. We are prioritizing businesses that are minority, women, and veteran owned. And a LISC program census tract mostly means any of our local office program areas. So we have 35 local offices across the country, mostly in the big cities. In the Bay Area, we cover the 9-county Bay Area, San Jose included. And so we included all of the census tracts in San Jose in our we had to send our national team a screen for that. The way the grant applications work on the next page, I think I have a link to it, but we have kind of week-long rounds of applications open. The application's pretty simple. It's filled out online, getting basic information about your small business. And then after that, we screen that the businesses are real, legal, in the kind of priority tracks that we've identified. And then there's a lottery. In the first round, we had, with the $2.5 million in funding we had from Verizon, we were able to make we had 250 grants to start, and then 20 of those were not legal businesses, I guess, that came out of it. But we made 230 grants from that first round, and out of 55,000 applications that came in, which has just been a testament to how widespread the need is. But that's been helpful for us as we continue to raise additional dollars. I wanted to point out that of the 230 small businesses around the country that were selected, 5 were in San Jose. 25 of them overall actually were in the Bay Area. So we had more than 10% of the grants made, which I think some of that's a testament to all of the help we've gotten from the city of San Jose and some of our other community partners getting the outreach. I think most importantly for you all is our next round will be opening May 14th. So look out for that. Please apply. I would love as many San Jose small businesses as possible to be in the lottery. And I think that's the main, I guess a piece of it too that's kind of fun. Verizon's been hosting these weekly concerts, and everybody who watches them online and tweets or tags people on social media about it, Verizon adds more of their increases their donation. Originally, they were only gonna donate $5 million toward this effort, and they added the additional $2.5 million for a total of $7.5 million because of how much engagement there's been. So that's a way too to get involved and have some impact on the amount of dollars that we're able to get out to businesses. Another thing we're working on is we work really closely with Congress and other state and local government agencies to try and get more public funding to small businesses. We're advocating hard to get more grant dollars like we have, and not just loans, because a lot of the needs are immediate, and loans do have to be paid back at some point, and a grant provides an immediate relief. It's a lot harder to raise that kind of money at scale, but we're doing what we can. I also, please, in the Q&A, let me know what would be useful for you, what you're seeing as your needs, how could grant dollars be helpful to you. A lot of my role as a local office program officer is to collect information from the local communities I work in and bubble that up to make sure that we are advocating to our national funders, whether they're private or public, to shape the resources they give us in the way that's most useful to you all. Because a lot of times there's a lot of strings attached, and if I don't know what to advocate for and negotiate for, it can make the administration of those dollars more challenging. So yeah, please let me know how we can shape funds to be more helpful for you all. In the meantime, we're just working as hard as possible to raise as much money as possible so that we can make as big of an impact. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. This is my contact information. Feel free to reach out to me. For questions, I know my communications team's going to be mad at me that I couldn't locate the nice small, I'm sure we have an easy URL link somewhere, but this is the direct link to our page with the application information and how to an FAQ. And there's a link there where you can sign up for direct updates. So you can get on that website, you can sign up for an email notification as soon as the next round of grants go live, so you can get in an application right away. Another point I did want to mention is that we've translated all of the application materials into 15 languages. And the application itself has to be filled out in English, but they're meant to be a guide for small business owners where English isn't primary language, and or reading at least in another language may be useful. So if you need translated materials, please reach out to me too. And I think that's mostly what I wanted to cover. I want to keep it brief and happy to answer questions during the Q&A section.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much, Laurel. I'd like to take this opportunity I'd like to take this opportunity once again to thank Vic Farlie, Laurel, and Myra for sharing their presentations with us today. We will now head into our Q&A session, and we will take this opportunity to address any topic, pertinent questions. Please be sure to add your questions to the Q&A function located at the bottom of your screen. Once again, we encourage you to send all other COVID-19 pertinent questions to COVID-19 sjbusiness@sanjoseca.gov. Our first question is, I am a long-term independent contractor for the San Jose City Library. My work has been on hiatus since March 13 with no updates to as when it may resume. My new, very small, multi-year contract with the city appears not to be moving forward. When will the city issue new contracts for small independent contractors who have no employees who have already applied and their applications have been accepted by the city? I am not a small business and I am not looking for a loan or grant. I just like to have my contract issued as was planned. For the individual submitting this question, we'd like to encourage you to please contact and email this inquiry to your contact with the City of San Jose. Thank you. Our second question, concerning LISC, I applied on April 22nd. How can I check my status?
I can answer that question.
Thank you.
If you did not receive an email notification that you were a finalist, one of those 230 finalists of the 55,000 applications that applied in the first round, you were not selected in the lottery, but please keep applying for the subsequent rounds. I would apply again when the next round opens on May 14th. And you know, unfortunately, it has to be a lottery because the amount of applications we're getting. But the only way to win is to apply. So please keep applying.
Thank you. The second question: how does one apply for the grant discussed by LISC?
The application's on our website, and maybe Sandra or Mirza, you all can help share the link out to everybody who attended after, or I can put it in the chat. Let me know the best way to put the link, or it's on our website, www.lisc.org. There should be a link on the front page for it as well, but there's an application on the website.
Wonderful, thank you. And we will be sharing these presentations via email tomorrow. Thank you. How to apply for the lottery again, please? And this is a question for LISC.
I think it's the same question, just when the applications open again on May 14th, apply through the website.
I applied in the first round, but did not get in the lottery. Can I apply again?
Yes, you can definitely apply again, and we encourage it.
How to apply for a loan online? What documents do I need to provide? And how much for interest rate will be applied? How much can you estimate the amount to pay for capital and interest including? Can you provide some specific example amounts for calculating per month?
I can answer that. First, I'd like to say that every CDFI, every lender has their own guidelines. So don't be discouraged if one lender says no. We can always refer you out to different lenders. But as far as applying the documentation, with Opportunity Fund, if you're applying for more than $10,000, your basic documentation is a loan application, which I can provide. Last year's tax return, if you haven't filed, that's fine. We can collect 2018 along with an extension. We'll also need the last 3 months of bank statements and a valid form of ID. So those are our requirements to submit your application above 10,000. Under 10,000, we don't require tax returns. We just require bank statements, the last 3 months of bank statements, application, and an ID. And as far as trying to figure out how much you qualify for, that's something that we can talk about in private. So it really depends on your financials, on your revenue that's coming in monthly, on what we can verify as well. So that can be a little tricky I would need exact figures for that. Feel free to email me.
Thank you. For general contractors that run a business, for example, ours is a Foster's Elite Property Improvement. Even though we are not a women-based company, will we still be considered at all?
If that question is for LISC about the grant program, yes, the priority is given to women, minority, or veteran-owned businesses, but you don't have to be all three. You don't need to be a veteran, minority, woman. Just all three of those categories are the priorities, but you don't have to fall into one of those categories to be in the lottery. There's just a preference given there.
Thank you. Next question. Are there any grants we can apply for, such as for sole proprietorships who only employ contractors?
That's a good question. I don't know off the top of my head, but it may be in the FAQ on our website. And if not, there's an email address on our website as well where my colleagues on the national team who are administering the program can answer that question.
A question for LISC. What constitutes a small business? What are the budget limits?
That's a great question. We didn't define small business. In the application, we ask what your budget is, what your revenues were in the last year, and how many employees you have. And then we filter from there, but we don't have a threshold for small business.
Next question. My business applied for the LISC grant. Is there any way to know if we were approved?
If you were selected in the lottery, you would have received an email notifying you of that. Otherwise, you were not selected in the lottery and you should apply again on May 14th.
Next question. Is there a $10,000 grant? Is the $10,000 grant on a first come, first served basis or a random lottery?
It's a random lottery. As long as you apply within the application period, then you'll be eligible to be selected in the lottery.
Thank you. For the LISC grant application due on April 28th, when will those finalists be announced?
It's been taking us a couple weeks, maybe 1 to 3 weeks to go through the review and lottery period. We're just for the applications that were due, the first round of applications, which were due earlier in April. I think today was the day we're announcing them. So it takes a couple weeks for the announcements to go out.
Thank you. I'm a contractor based in Campbell. Am I eligible for any of these programs discussed this afternoon?
It depends what kind of contractor. Oh, sorry. Do you want to go ahead and answer?
No, Mayra, go ahead.
Okay. Depends what kind of contractor you are. If you haven't applied for PPP, I'm seeing a lot of questions here regarding independent contractors, 1099 or sole proprietorships. PPP is now, you can apply for PPP as a sole proprietor or as an independent contractor. If you haven't done so, please reach out to your local SBDC. For example, we are working with SBDC here, Silicon Valley SBDC, and our other partner, San Jose MBDA Business Center, and Alum Rock Santa Clara Business Association. They're helping with PPP applications, and if you're an independent contractor, sole proprietorship, you can qualify for that, depending on your financials.
Thank you. Is the loan advance of $10K also subject to lottery? I'll repeat that question one more time. Is the loan advance of $10,000 also subject to the lottery process?
I think there are different answers to this question. The loan application process for the Opportunity Fund is unique to the Opportunity Fund. If you're looking for the advance from the Small Business Administration, the SBA, then you have to look online at the SBA's website to see the status of your application. The lottery is a separate point that relates to LISC and whether you've applied for their previous round, and then for the upcoming round on May 14th, where if you're a high quality application, then you'll go into the lottery process. So there's kind of three, you could answer that question in three ways. I wonder what Laurel and Myra might think about that.
Well, the grant program at LISC is not a loan advance. It's just a grant, and it doesn't have to be paid back at any point in any way. And it is only through a lottery.
Great, thank you. The next question, why are the grants and loans being awarded to the large companies where they help the few when assisting the small companies asking for the minimum 10K SBA grants would help a large number of total companies?
Okay, well, I can pick that one up. I mean, I think that the SBA have two programs that I think businesses will be aware of. One is referred to as the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program, which doesn't offer an advance. And that's currently, you can apply this week because there is additional funding, but it is running out fast. So businesses that need to apply should apply now. And obviously Myra and Opportunity Fund are taking applications from existing customers. But with the 10K SBA grant, that refers to the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, often referred to as EIDL. And there you would already have applied, and it will be based on a head count. So the way the SBA have defined the formula is you get $1,000 for each employee. So 10 employees equals $10,000, and that's the advance. And that's how they've had to try and organize this, because there's been such a high level of applications. You can see online on the SBA website how many people have applied in California, how many people are applying for the advance. So you get a sense of the scale. And of course, the SBA has a backlog now in handling and approving or rejecting the applications in front of them. They haven't yet committed to another round of EIDL. So we do not know at this stage if the SBA will open up funding again to this program. So only the people that have applied to date will be considered. And the last point to make is that the SBA have said that the applications will be treated on a first come, first served basis. So the earlier that the business applied, the earlier that that application will be assessed, approved, or rejected. It's not a happy situation, but that is the current position we're in relative to the SBA and the demands placed upon them to approve or reject applications.
Thank you, Vic. The next question, are there specific types of businesses that may be more qualified for the grants than others?
No, any kind of business is eligible to apply.
Great, thank you. I am a 1099 consultant for a startup local business in Santa Clara City that is shut down right now. Am I eligible to collect unemployment for the lost wages of my gig? Can I also apply for a grant program?
I can answer that. I mean, what the person would have to do here is to check online at EDD, which is the Cal State website, which is the portal that went live this week for gig workers and the self-employed to make claims. Now, if you Google and do some research on the question of self-employment and unemployment insurance, you'll work out the dollar weekly rate. So you'll be able to see what the amounts are, and you'll be able to look at the rules for eligibility relative to lost wages and hours worked. So each person really has to look at their own circumstances in relation to unemployment insurance and how you make a claim. You also have to look very carefully that if you are claiming unemployment insurance, you can't then claim for SBA and other forms of federal and state grants, because that might be deemed to be double funding the same activity. So you have to be very careful about that. Different banks, lenders, and different organizations that offer loan programs will have their own criteria for judging this, but you shouldn't be surprised if you do apply and you tell the lender that you are applying for unemployment insurance. They may wish to ask you to evidence that, and it may affect the outcome of your claim. Thank you.
Thank you. Does an LGBTQ-owned business qualify for any programs?
Yes, it shouldn't make any difference whatsoever to any organization that you should be able to apply and qualify for any of the programs listed. If that's not the case, please contact the city, and the city would want to understand your case and your circumstances.
Thank you. Can we submit grant applications earlier than May 14th?
No, the application doesn't open until May 14th. In the meantime, you can register to be added to the email list to be notified as soon as the application is made available.
What makes a high-quality applicant for LISC?
Great question. The priority things we screen for is we give preference to women, minority, and veteran-owned businesses, small businesses, so fewer number of employees, smaller revenues, been in business longer. But there aren't thresholds for this. We just look at the range that comes in and then provide preference for those that are like on the higher end for longer, more years in business, fewer number of employees. And then everybody gets put into the lottery from there. And then however many are selected is just however much money we have divided by $10,000 grants.
Thank you. Where do I find the Q&A for grants on your website, especially for sole proprietorship?
It is when you're on the link I had in the deck that I'm hoping the organizers of this meeting will send around. There's a link that says Small Business Relief Grant Info and FAQ. And that's where the FAQ is. And if your question is not on the FAQ, there's an email address at the bottom, smallbusinessgrants@lisc.org, and that's going to be the fastest, most direct way to get individual questions about the grant answered.
Thank you. If I already received a grant from another program, do I qualify to apply for a LISC grant?
Yes, it doesn't exclude you from applying.
How do we add our name to be notified when the application becomes available?
There's a link to register on the website.
Thank you. Are there any funding programs or grants for yet to be? One second. Are there any funding programs or grants for yet to be launched web-based businesses for SJ residents?
Let me answer that one. We're not aware of any specific grant programs for yet to be launched web-based businesses. A lot of the grant programs that you do see are for established businesses who've been in business for a year or 2 years that can demonstrate some level of evidence of turnover or activity. And where it's a COVID-19 related fund, one of the defining criteria here is whether that business has experienced a financial loss as a result of COVID-19. So if you're a startup or you're yet to be launched, it's difficult to prove there was a before and after effect. So I'm afraid that probably the opportunities are restricted here, but you must look at every grant or loan program that is advertised to see if you can meet that criteria. If you're looking for startup funds, then you should go to a traditional FDIC lender, the SBA funded programs that are available. I can give you information on that, or go and see Myra Opportunity Fund because she has good referral information and can give you advice specifically on the kind of things to look for. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you, Victor. Just to add to that, like I mentioned, we don't lend to startups. We want to see at least a year in operation, generating revenue, but we do have partners, other CDFIs that lend to startups that can do projection-based lending. For example, here in the Bay Area, you can contact Working Solutions. You can also contact Meta, MEDA, and of course, Kiva, KIVA. They all can process startup applications.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. The next question is LISC's grant opening up on May 14th only for San Jose businesses?
No, it's for any small business throughout the entire country. I wish it were only for San Jose businesses, but no, it's the whole country.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much. That concludes our Q&A session. And at this very moment, I would like to encourage you to continue to use our email address to provide any other additional questions that are not pertinent to today's topic. And we would also like to remind you that today's presentations will be emailed to you. Resources. We have numerous resources available for you. Today's recordings, past and future sessions are available on our website at this bit.ly location. If you have any questions for past presentations or for future topics, please contact Mirza Hanzar at mirza.hanzar@sanjoseca.gov to share topic ideas. In the event you are seeking resources for laying off or downsizing, please contact Workers Adjustment and Retraining Notification, also known as WARN Business Service, team at work2future@sanjoseca.gov. All employers, businesses, nonprofits, and workers impacted by COVID-19 can write us at covid19sjbusiness@sanjoseca.gov or call 1-877-880-1222. Translation services are available. Our upcoming webinar is scheduled for next Thursday, May 7th, time at 3:00 p.m. until 4:30 p.m. Our speaker agency is Small Business Development Center, SBDC, and Opportunity Fund. Our topic will focus on Spanish language webinar. The description of our webinar is your business impacted by COVID-19? Do you struggle with access to cash flow and fraud protection? Would you like to know what steps to take to avoid predatory lending? Join us at 3 p.m. next Thursday for an interactive virtual workshop in Spanish with the City of San Jose in partnership with Business Owner Space Partners, Small Business Development Center, and Opportunity Fund. For registration, please email or go to the Zoom webinar registration information or email Mirza Hanzar at mirzahanzar@sanjoseca.gov to sign up today. We'd like to thank you for your participation today. And once again, for future webinar topics and related resources, please visit our website at sjeconomy.com and please stay tuned for a copy of the presentations in your email box. Thank you and have a wonderful day.